Our next story, we're going to look at the forever wars, the secret wars that America has perpetrated for quite a long time, ever since the Patriot Act, ever since 9/11, um, and how the Biden administration is planning on not slowing this up at all. And in fact, it might be getting a whole lot worse. Uh, uh, a very dangerous precedent. It's reported from Politico. A very dangerous precedent. Democrats take aim at Biden's Somalia airstrikes. Democrats said the Biden administration did not have the authority to strike in Somalia. The story goes top Democratic lawmakers took aim this week at the Biden administration's recent airstrikes in Somalia, disputing the legal rationale for the operations and arguing that it undercuts the president's stated desire to replace outdated war authorizations. The Pentagon justified the strikes, which targeted al Qaeda affiliates in the war torn country, by invoking the 2001 authorization for use of military force against the terrorist groups that attacked the U.S. on 9/11. Democrats, who have long maintained that the 2001 authorization is irrelevant 20 years after the U.S. invaded Afghanistan, said the Biden administration did not have the authority to strike in Somalia. What the Biden team is doing is consistent with what we've seen now in three prior administrations, but it's to me inconsistent with the intent of Congress, said Senator Ben Cardin, a senior member of Senate Foreign Relations Committee. I think President Joe Biden should submit a new authorization for the use of military force and should recognize that the 2001 authorization use of military force should be terminated. So, this case with Somalia is actually very interesting because it doesn't even state the full effect of it. Because while bombing Somalia is most definitely illegal and unauthorized because Congress never authorized it and Somalia never attacked us, but this is also interesting because this was an attack not in retaliation but a preemptive attack, which they like to call, which the CIA under international law is called collective self-defense. Now, we bombed these people on behalf of our commandos that we have in Somalia, and this was not an imminent threat. I do not, because you have to believe, I do not believe anything that the military says. So when they say that there was an imminent threat, I believe there was not an imminent threat. When they say that no civilians were injured, I do not believe that in the slightest. We already know how the drone programs work in the rest of the world. Why wouldn't it be any different in Somalia? They say they got all their targets. I highly doubt it. So that's interesting, but it goes even deeper than that. Is that the fact that Joe Biden didn't actually authorize these strikes? It was actually a General Stephen Townsend, who is the head of the U.S. Africa Command. He authorized the strikes. He did it without consent of the president, which is a whole new level of what is going on in this country. Who is holding the reins? Who actually what is the point of having checks and balances established in the Constitution and then not implementing them and using them? Because it's always very interesting where the same GOP members are so radically for the forefathers, and yet they forget what this is based on, like Marco Rubio saying that we should never obstruct the president's ability to declare war and attack terrorists. Never obstruct. So the fact that this one man, this one general, was the be all end all, and he declared the attack. But it goes like, should he declare the attack? Should he be allowed to, or should the president be allowed to? Should any one individual be allowed to have the red button? I thought that's what the Senate was in place for. That's what Congress was in place for, to make sure things like this didn't happen. But as it said, ever since 2001 and that Bush era use of military force against the people that attacked us in 9/11, and that's what it was for, against the people that attacked us in 9/11, and that's what we used to justify the illegal wars of Afghanistan and Iraq. Because neither of those countries attacked us. Neither of those countries attacked us. So, especially in Somalia, how did Somalia attack us in 9/11? So, a lot of people like to bring up Article 2, that Article 2 of the Constitution, which says that the president is commander in chief. But what Article 2 actually states is that the president has the ability to pardon people, but it does not. Any authorization of military force, it has to be approved by Congress, 2/3. And that's written directly in the Constitution, but they seem to ignore that part. So in this fight to get Congress back their power, you have Senator Bernie Sanders, of course, Senator Chris Murphy, and Senator Mike Lee. And we talked about this story earlier, where they are saying that it's time to take away this power that's been given from one administration to the next, because when it's your guy in office, everything's all good. But when it's not, or if it's something you don't agree with, then it's a problem. And giving all this power and authority to just one person, I don't care if it's the president of the United States or not, any one person to have that kind of power is a recipe for a disaster. It really is. Now, these illegal attacks against Somalia, these preemptive, premeditated attacks against Somalia, are just right inside of Biden's wheelhouse, because this man is a war hawk. This man, even though he states that he wants to abolish the previous administration's policy on war, at the same time, Obama was a war hawk. Obama gave a crazy amount of power, did drone strikes all over the place, and Biden does not want to end the mission in Syria. And while he has stated that he plans on ending the war in Afghanistan, we'll see how likely that is to keep all the boots on the ground or not. And then his withdrawal from Iraq isn't even a weird withdrawal. He just, we're moving from a combat position to a consultant position, when they already say that it's been years since since the U.S. has been in an active combat role in Iraq. So nothing's changing. He's just having fancy wording with it. So he is a war hawk, and with the fact that there was no consequences for this person that authorized the Somalian airstrikes, that is paramount to approval. He might as well have authorized those airstrikes, because if he would have disapproved of it, then there would have been consequences, and there wasn't.